Yes. May I have your attention, please? I would like to call to order the Roscoe Village Board meeting Tuesday, December 5th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, is there any public comment? Item 5, I feel so honored tonight to have an opportunity to turn the floor over to Chief Sam Pauley. We have a presentation to make this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If I can get officers that we're going to be recognized tonight, it's going to be Officer Anya Podgorny. Officer Greg Yalden. Sergeant Robert Lewis. The brief synopsis of what we're recognized tonight is just after midnight, November 12th, officers were dispatched to the 10,100 block of Clearwood Lane. Upon arrival, officers observed smoke, fire conditions to a 2-story, 4-unit family residence with one side of the building missing. Officers learned that one of the second floor apartments was occupied. Officer Anya Podgorny, her involvement in it was, she was given Sergeant Lewis's squad keys, at which time she ran as fast as she could by her body camera, which showed it. And her vehicle was actually, Sergeant Lewis's vehicle was actually parked a block away because they were given a bad address to begin with. So it was a ways away. She retrieved a Ram that was located in the sergeant's squad. This Ram weighs approximately about 35 pounds, I would say. Officer Podgorny ran back to the scene where she turned over the Ram to Officer Yalden and forced entry was made. Officer Podgorny entered the smoke-filled stairway with the other officers, announcing their presence. Officer Greg Yalden, while Officer Podgorny was retrieving the Ram, Officer Greg Yalden attempted to force entry into the apartment by repeatedly kicking at the door, as well as using a 2x4 as a ram to try to gain entry with no success. The 2x4 was actually found along with the other debris because half of this residence was actually blown out. Upon Officer Podgorny returning with the Ram, he was able to force the door open, where he entered the smoke-filled stairway with the other officers, making his way to the top of the stairs, where he opened the interior door to the apartment and started yelling at the apartment for the occupants to evacuate. Sergeant Robert Lewis attempted to force entry into the apartment also by repeatedly kicking and shouldering at the door, as well as using a 2x4. Him and Officer Yalden joined together forces in trying to use the 2x4 to gain entry. With no success. Upon Officer Yalden used the Ram to gain entry, Sergeant Lewis entered the smoke-filled stairway with the other officers, making his way to the top of the stairs with Officer Yalden. Upon the interior apartment door being opened, Sergeant Lewis yelled in the apartment to the occupant to evacuate. Once learning from the adult occupant there were children inside the apartment in the back bedroom. Sergeant Lewis, without hesitation, entered the smoke-filled apartment, joining the adult occupant where they made the way to the back bedroom. Once in the bedroom, Sergeant Lewis picked up a child that was in a crib, while the adult male picked up the other child. They both exited the apartment safely with the children in arms. Just want to point out too with Sergeant Lewis that this is a perfect representation of the person that Sergeant Lewis is and has always been, dating back to his time in the Army where he served this great country. It's incredibly fitting that when Sergeant Lewis started his shift the night of the incident, our nation was celebrating Veterans Day. So, we present them with a plaque. Officer Anya Podgorny, congratulations. You can stay up here also. Officer Greg Yalden. Sergeant Robert Lewis. I believe that we have the partial clip of, actually, this is Sergeant Lewis footage from the night of the incident. Officer did a great job representing the life-saving award is what we gave them tonight. Just did an excellent job. I also like to invite up the newly appointed Fire Chief, John Bergeron.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. It's truly an honor for us to be here tonight. Nothing short of what happened that night, was truly a life-saving effort. I won't go into all the details. Chief Hawley already did that, so I won't spare the details, but, it's truly an honor for us to award this to these officers. You see a lot of times we razz each other quite a bit. But when we have to get down to serious business, we do it, and we do it quite well. I am very honored of the working relationship we have with Roscoe Police and all the other police agencies also, so. So I would like to present, if I mix any names, I totally apologize for that. So Harlem Roscoe Fire Protection District #1 commends Officer Greg Yalden for the Good Samaritan Award for an outstanding rescue on November 12th, 2023 at 10126 Clearway. And we have the same verbiage as what Greg was. This is for Officer Anya Pagorni. I know I probably. Robert Lewis.
Thanks.
Thank you for the green board for all of us to come over and do this. What I also have for the officers and sergeant is a challenge going from Harlem Roscoe. So. Thank you. There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Anybody, families want to come up? Sure. Take some pictures really quick and.
Don't jump at once, Slam. I'll get you in there. We're all the same. We can do one of each. One of each. Center.
And then choose.
If you want to start by. Yeah. I just don't want the fair with this.
Fire jump in with the other.
Yeah, absolutely. She progressed quite well.
This side.
Yeah.
You just.
You're working great. One, two. Fantastic. Your first.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Cool.
Now we are all in the same one. Nice job.
Sorry. It's been here a minute, don't let him get his up. Yeah. Don't worry. That's all right, that's what I know about it. All night. Nobody's gonna go. Yeah, we're good. Oh,
Yeah. I don't know.
Hey.
No, Dad. Oh. Whoa.
Thank
But something my eye, leave me alone. Am I skipping roll call, by the way? It should be okay, right? So.
Now, to go back.
I guess. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it just.
Want to do it? Let's do it.
We'll resume.
All the way out, do it right. Everyone's turn.
Gotta pipe her down.
Here.
Malaco.
Here.
Right.
Here.
Yes.
Present. Item 6. Okay, item number 6, treasurer's report.
Oh. I think that might be me. Tonight we have expenditures to list of $75,732. We have payroll expenses of $98,650.46. For total general fund expenditures of $174,382.73. This leaves a general fund checking account balance after expenditures of $8,069,298.37. We have no motor fuel expenditures this evening. And we have a motor fuel balance of $1,472,700
$45.42.
Item 6.2, is there a motion to approve payment of the bills?
So moved.
Questions? Hearing none, call for the vote, please.
Malaco,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Block,
Yes.
Teddy.
Yes.
Okay. Item 6.3, year-to-date revenue and expenditures. You will find that schedule in your documents. And if you want to take a look at it, have any questions? Yes, we're always interested in the bottom line. You'll note that this is for the 10 months ending October 31st, so it's through that period. Hearing no questions, we'll move on. Item 7, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from the November 21st meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Babcock,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Teddy,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Block.
Yes.
Item 7.2, is there a motion to approve ordinance 2023 R60? Approval of the authorizing the village of Roscoe to cast a ballot for the 2023 IMRF executive trustee election.
Speak for Sue Stanish. Housing Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Wright,
Yes.
Teddy,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Block,
Yes.
Babcock.
Yes.
Okay, item 9.1, as indicated in the agenda, this is a first reading, ordinance 2023-18. The ordinance is in your documents.
Joe and I have talked, I have a couple of things I'd like him to at least review.
Yep.
So if we can get those out as soon as you get a chance. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments regarding 9.1?
I have something. I was wondering if we could, throughout resolution 2023-18, have everything referred to village president and board of trustees, not corporate authorities or you have it uniform. The wording.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think where instead of using president and the village board, I usually use corporate authorities. I can split those out. I can split it out. So all these sides, village board and corporate.
Yeah, I would just
Sure.
like it all to say one thing throughout.
Not a problem.
And, because it does jump around and it has confused me in years past. And I guess the only other thing is, a question in reference to the revised version of it's B, selection and appointment, term removal. Number 1. The village administrator shall be appointed by the village president with the advice and consent of the village board.
Yes.
Well, is that the same as shall be appointed by the village president and the village board?
This is making this an appointed position. It'd be appointed like any other position is an appointed position. Out here, history, generally, the village administrator is an appointed position. When we created this several years ago, the board decided not to do that.
So this is changing it from.
It's making it more of what it actually is, I guess. It's sort of formalizing that, but yeah, it's changing it slightly, yes. Correct.
Taking it from 7 bullet points down to 2.
Correct.
So could that wording be changed? Shall be appointed by the village president and the
Yeah,
village.
board. Yeah. Sure, ordinance, absolutely. The wish of the board.
Would that then mean the president would have to vote on it
Generally,
with
the
that wording?
I suppose I don't know. I mean, generally, no. I mean, generally, it wouldn't be. Generally, the president would bring it, even with this wording, the president would bring it to the board. The board would vote on it, and make the actual decision on that, the approval of that, the appointments with that sort of approval confirmation by the village board. So I suppose you can make it however you would like, honestly, if you'd like the president to vote. We have some ordinances where the president votes. Generally, president just votes in case of a tie, but we can, if you'd like to make it where the president also votes on it, we can do that as well.
I'd like it to reflect having at least 4 trustees vote in favor of it. Not having a tiebreaker vote.
Yeah, I can put whatever, I mean, it's your ordinance.
Yeah.
I mean,
How is it now?
or-
How is it now?
That way,
That's the way it is.
that's the way it is.
Anyway.
It has always been.
So Sue, you're proposing to change it? Or this?
No, I'm questioning, I'm just questioning. So right now, the village president breaks ties.
As with, yeah, with any ordinance.
Excuse me a second, but I don't think that had ever been the case with an appointment.
No, it wouldn't be for the actual appointment, you wouldn't. Usually it's for an appointment position, it's the village president makes that appointment and that nomination essentially. The village board then approves that appointment.
And the president makes the appointment but does not vote.
Correct. The board has to vote on that to actually confirm that position. Correct. The president essentially brings it to the board for their consideration and approval. And then the board would actually vote on that.
Yes, has been done with all appointments in the past, and this one too.
I guess as long as it stays that way, I'm fine.
I'm fine with it. And then it's the city administrator instead of village administrator. Again, we're swinging.
Yeah, that was a mistake on my part. I will-
Okay, all right.
And the administrator still answers to the village board, right?
Correct. And that is. Number one of the duties and responsibilities, carrying out directives and policies. This is how, by the way, how it is currently and how this proposed changes. Same wording, carrying out the directives and policies of the village president and board of trustees that require administrative implementation. And promptly reporting to the village president and board of trustees any difficulties encountered with implementation. And that's just the main. Regular reporting to the president and board of trustees on the status of projects and activities occurring under the office of the village administrator. Assisting the village president, village board, and recruitment of trustees. I think almost everything in here, I think we have
It's the
both
same.
village president and village trustee.
Except for the addition of number 15.
Except for 15, correct. That is the only thing of the duties, that's the only thing that's changed. And that was in the absence of the duly appointed zoning administrator, or during such times as a vacancy may exist in the office of zoning administrator, shall act and serve as the village's zoning administrator until such times as a vacancy in such office is filled. Establishing a sort of a formal way in case, in this case, Scott, it's both. But even if we had somebody separate and that person's gone, at some point you have somebody who acts in that capacity, keep things moving forward.
I'll chime in that that's a super important component of this, particularly given the reality of our immediate situation. Someone, January 1st, someone needs to be a zoning official or a plans official.
So yeah, all of that, that's the only, yes, that's the only duty. Actually, that's the only thing, everything in that below, in the section C and below, that duties, responsibilities and below are all the same. It's just that initial appointment and the confirmation switch.
It's changed.
I'd just like to say, I understand kind of the rush on this, but it really should have been in committee of the whole. And then could have came to our next village board meeting instead of just being the first reading. That way we can have a more in-depth and discussion about it. Instead of just bullet points. I know I can't do anything about it now. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Anything else?
Well, just one other thing, whatever we decide tonight and then in 2 weeks, just remember this will filter down to boards in the future.
Well, they also can change. Anything can be changed. They can, you know that.
So just keep. in
Just like
mind
tax laws change
in the
every year.
future.
Moving on, item 9.2. Again, a first reading. Resolution 2023 R61. Questions, comments?
No, I did address something with Joe that he was gonna take a look at tweaking some of the language. Mostly because it more indicates the old ordinance than the new ordinance. So if we're gonna do this new ordinance, I wanted the wording changed.
To confirm the appointment and the approval.
Just so they correlate.
Yeah, so that it just looks more uniform than that. Like we picked A and C instead of B and D and things like that, just makes it flow a little smoother.
Anything else?
Well, it isn't in here, but it would have been nice if this was at the committee, so we could have looked at the agreement and discussed that as well. At some point that should have been out so that more transparent, that all the trustees could have read through it and had more time with it, but there's also some changes in there that I've asked Joe to look at and address. Hopefully everybody else will read through it, and if you see anything, point those out to Joe and ask him to at least take a look at it in consideration.
You know, I'll address the point that you made on that, it's essentially the outside employment clause of it. I tried to make it narrow in scope, and we've had, you know, every village administrator, we've had that, you know, Scott came in, we've had some ability, even if we're not gonna use it, some of the outside employment. And so I did keep that in there, I did narrow the scope down. Obviously I have a law license, if I'm going to, you know, represent my family member in a traffic case, right? Allowing me to do that and not violate the agreement, of course, not having outside clients or third-party clients or other municipalities. Obviously, this would be the full 100% primary responsibility, which I tried to make clear in the agreement. But I do have that small little clause in there in case I need to represent a family member or a traffic ticket or something for a family type thing. So I've been trying to clarify that even more so, so the board's comfortable with that, but then also, so I'm not filing an agreement if I do have to represent a family member, just for traffic or something.
I just don't want there to be any
Sure, yeah.
any possibility that anybody could be thinking you're doing anything for any other municipality
Yes.
other than
Right.
us, so there's no conflicts.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's very clear cut that way. And the other thing, since we're talking about, it had a thing in there about no elected official could go directly to an employee without going through Joe first. And I, in the past, have always included the administrator with said employee, and that's what I will continue to do. I'm not gonna solely focus. They tried that since '07, and you can't eliminate our positions from going to employees. That would mean that the clerk could never talk to Janet without.
That was existing language in all.
Yeah, and he said he's gonna
Yeah.
pull it out, so.
I mean, that's one of those things
I just
where
wanted to
it's
brought it out that. it's-
internal, I mean, yeah, that's more of an internal, the board talks about who they want to talk to, right? I can't control that. As an employee, I can't control that. So obviously I think that was in there just to maybe set some boundaries, I think, in the past for like board members. I think it was more the board talking to each other.
Well, as we know, it's just, it's something that can't enforce.
Yeah.
Yes, it'll be cleaned up.
Absolutely, yeah. And, yeah.
But again, if anybody else reads and sees it, please get your concerns to Joe. He was very accommodating with my questions and concerns. I appreciated that.
What are we doing for a village attorney as of January 1st? Are we looking into finding one right now?
Yep,
That's kind of a pressing thing. I would
It will be a
think.
pressing thing,
Sort of
and obviously-
Or something.
Indeed,
until we
and
get
so-
somebody.
currently, that's what this is.
9.3.
Right, and that's sort of what we're doing here with this. It's sort of step by step, right? It's doing one thing before we can do the next and the next. So it's when the agreement sort of gets finalized and set for there, then yes, there always will be a need for a third party attorney, outside attorney.
And you're talking 9.3.
9.3 and just in general, probably too. I can read our contracts, right? I can do our, look at write ordinances out and that. But of course, the board might want to have, another outside attorney to speak with. And I may, as village administrator, assuming this all goes as planned, or some other, village administrator, you're gonna wanna have some other, attorney you can bounce things off of, separately. For the sort of the hard legal stuff, or the real legal stuff, I suppose, as opposed to sort of day-to-day things that I think attorneys don't know how to do. But maybe necessarily would require an outside attorney to do. Writing ordinances or reviewing contracts, or even, part of the negotiations of those things. But yes,
It's important for checks and balances. As any of us have done and know, if we talk to Scott and there's a question, we go to Joe. If we talk to Joe and there's a question, we go to Scott. We need to have those checks and balances, something we can still bounce off people and ask. I mean, it's too bad he had to write his own contract as it was. That should have been a third party, I think, drafting that. So it'd be nice to have still that ability and those checks and balances. It's very important for our job here.
On the same, are we moving forward in any capacity of trying to find a zoning administrator currently?
yep, that will be, probably the 19th.
Okay.
We'll have that out there for an RFP for that. We've sort of done those before. We'll have a contract. Zoning administrator for the big reviews, larger reviews, and then we're actually trying to cultivate sort of in-house talent here. To sort of bring some of our current staff along for a lot of the permits, a lot of the day-to-day zoning permits, fence permits, some basic variations. There's a lot of things that we can do that our staff currently do a lot of, and Scott can probably attest to that. We have very capable staff here. Yes, there's a need for a design professional trained in some of these, bigger planning issues, do some of the bigger reviews. And so we'll have that resource, and we'll get that, our zoning administrator or our planning person, consultant, will be able to do those bigger reviews too. But then a lot of it we'll be able to handle in-house. So we have very, very talented staff there.
Right. If we move on to 9.3, is there any concern or any support for moving ahead with this and suspending the rules so that we can get out a proposal to give other law firms enough time to respond so that we can have something in place? At least review those proposals to have something in place to address traffic court cases, so on and so forth.
I would like to suspend the rules for 9.3.
I'll second it. That's an important thing that we have to do now. Yes.
Any other question or comment about
That's
suspending the
just
rules?
to
This is
expedite getting it. in front
to
of
send
the
out a
board.
proposal, request for a proposal
We like,
for,
especially, sorry about that.
for all attorneys who wish to participate or act as our attorneys in prosecuting our DUIs and traffic court cases.
Especially for the holidays, having at least 2 or 3 weeks, to get those out to everybody so they can come and proposals back to the board so that, early January, we can, if we have.
This is boilerplates that we have, the RFPs we send out or something like this, or you have to.
Yeah, I have the RFP. I can send it to Scott. I'll put it back there, send it to everybody. But yeah, it's a standard RFP for those. It's
Okay,
just,
so let's first vote on the motion to suspend the rules and make this a vote, and then there can be additional questions. So there was a motion and a second to suspend the rules and make this a vote on resolution 2023 R62.
Right,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Block,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Babcock.
Okay, then is there a motion to approve resolution 2023 R62, resolution approving the issuance of an RFP for DUI and traffic prosecution? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Joe, would you explain how you would send that out, where it would go, and hopefully how much time people would have to respond?
yeah, I mean, in the basic RFP is just, provide obviously your basic background, skills or your history or your experience doing traffic prosecution, because it's a specific skill. And then your, obviously your billing method, right? Some places are gonna bill flat rates, some are gonna bill per case. I've seen it multiple different ways. Those we sent out, there's about, maybe 8 firms or 8 attorneys / firms in Rockford who do this type of thing. We'll also send it over to the Winnebago County Bar Association and they'll send it out to their list. So there'll be majority of attorneys and firms in Rockford will have a chance to look at it. I don't imagine most will be responding to it, but we probably get a few. And then I have a sort of statewide posting I will do through ILGL, which is the Illinois Local Government Lawyers Association. Though I'm not sure we're going to have a lot or going to get a lot of response from people outside of the general Winnebago County area to respond to it. But I imagine we'll get a few firms and attorneys to respond to it from in this area. Yeah, we'll get those together and we'll show you the results and make recommendations, or you guys can look at those and, make some discussion about that.
These are professional services, so we can pick and choose. We don't have to deal with.
Right.
Right.
Correct. Yep, it won't be, yeah.
And the turnaround time we're anticipating, or you're.
I think we just talked about maybe doing, at this point, it's nicer if we're starting a little earlier with the 5th now. Without giving 3 weeks to turn the response back in. And then I'm hoping that we're aiming for the first meeting in January to be able to select someone sort of officially at the board level. So we'll get those out to you, we'll have the whole, next 2 weeks, 3 weeks here. We can probably maybe discuss partially at the 19th meeting, but yeah, the goal would be to approve that person or approve that firm on the 3rd, January 3rd.
Any other questions, comments? Calling for the vote, please.
Babcock,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Flock,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Item 9.4. I would like you to consider suspending the rules so that we can move forward with cleaning up some debris of the house that was burned in back. So this is resolution 2023 R63. Resolution authorizing an agreement for the removal of demolition debris at 10561 Pearl Street. And the resolution states this would be by Northern Illinois Services for $16,949. Is there a motion to suspend the rules and make this final vote?
So moved.
Second.
Petty,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Flock,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Malaco.
Yes.
And may I have a motion to approve resolution 2023 R63 employing Northern Illinois Services who so remove the debris?
So moved.
Second.
I did ask Troy, he said he tried to get more
Yes.
quotes and unfortunately, nobody wanted to dig the trash, so. But you're happy with these guys, right? You're very confident in it.
Northern Illinois Service did a good job.
There's quite a list of things that this job.
That's what they
entails.
specialize in. Demolition.
I did ask Troy and now ask Chief to make sure your guys go by there and keep an eye on those fences. The kids, since it's gonna be at least a few more weeks probably before it's done. You guys could keep an eye and make sure those fences stay up and closed and. Just keep going by there every day, you guys are. Hopefully somebody will keep an eye on it.
Can you send us an email of the date that they will be there? When you find out, please.
We'll email them tomorrow and see.
Thank you.
Oh, and thank you to the fire department, you did an excellent job.
Thank you. And
I got some use out of it.
the village and the public works, they were a big help that day also with us burning that down. So thank you for your assistance also.
Vote, please.
Flock,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Malaco,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Before
Item,
we go too much further, what about the other house that's down on Main Street? We need to start looking into that.
And no, I think that's to me,
Can we-
that's the budget for, oh, sorry.
Okay, okay.
item 10.1. Before you are the liquor license renewals that we went through a few minutes ago. It's really long.
Yes, I do this consent for people
Okay.
of 24 liquor license
Okay.
renewals.
Is there a motion to approve the 2024 liquor license renewals as you see before you?
We'll move for 10.11 down to 10.1.8.
Second.
Babcock,
Yes.
Petty,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Clock,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
11, old business. House?
Yeah, the house, debris.
Yes.
So are we gonna demo that? Do we need to start looking at? I know we talked about tree removal, but
Yes.
should we get that process?
Yep.
Should we
I
get that?
believe
process?
we've got plenty in the budget for that. I think Troy is trying to get quotes for that. One more time on you. That is part of, yes,
It's planned.
it's in the plan. Yeah.
Maybe we'll-
Yeah, it just,
Up here, they can take a look at it or something.
so just between the first and second draft, under, kind of right by the village hall capital outlays. Since that's where we're putting money for property acquisition, it seemed to fit in place to property disposal or cleanup. So, right now, it's just an estimate of, $25,000. Solicit quotes and, but it's appropriated.
Is that with the tree removal?
No,
No.
Can you add that into your demolition and ask them if they do it?
Sure.
You might get a cheaper rate because they can just pull them out of the ground.
good idea.
Instead
Keeping
of-
the tree care.
Are we
Yeah, instead of
taking all? the
charging
trees
somebody,
down?
$7,000 per tree, they may just do it for $200 per tree.
Are we taking all the trees down?
I don't know the answer to that. We'll have public
Like
works.
that's kind of a rhetorical, should we, or do we want to?
We'll have to assess, I guess, what's there. We had,
There's a lot of trees on that. property.
and various states
Yeah,
of,
There's the conditions, yeah.
we,
Future use.
Well, I'll tell you though,
we had one resident come in and volunteer to cut some down. But we thought that would be kind of a liability, so we can explore what to do.
just a parting suggestion on it, I would be hesitant to clear cut it. Only because I would assume that whatever, reuse we're applying for will be commercial in nature. And because it does abut residential, by our own ordinance, there'd be a requirement for a vegetative buffer between the two. And some of the mature trees along the back property line go a long way towards satisfying that buffer and just
Save
keeping
some money later on.
an appropriate screen from the residential back in. So I'd probably pick some distance offset from the rear property line, maybe for now 50 or feet or so, and don't touch that until you know what you're doing.
And it would depend on the condition, I mean, the viability of the stuff that's there.
Yeah.
Because,
Okay.
All states with decay.
right, yeah, there's lots of stuff there that we have to
Is this the
explore.
two-story house we're talking about?
Yes, yes.
I'll throw
Anything
it.
else under old business? Okay, public comment? Hearing none? No executive session needed tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Need a break or do you want to move right into the
Roll call.
roll call? Or all in favor of adjourning, say yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Does that say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Need a break? I want to go right into the. No, okay, we're rolling.
I don't know, you got me fixated on these trees now.
Well, you can scroll and look at them during the way.